And we are live on the 86th edition of the Redman Group. Welcome in, everybody. I am your host and moderator, Donovan Sharp. We are presented in part by Tactical Soap. We're not going to open up the phone lines today. Obviously, this is going to be sort of a 21 convention recap. But before we go ahead and get started, let's go ahead and introduce today's panel. First up, of course, is the man who doesn't give a damn about Red Pill vernacular and just gives it to you straight without all of the fancy language. That is Steve the Dean Williams, who runs the website, themanmindset.com. Be sure to check out his weekly show right here on the Redman Group channel called The Red Pill Mindset. That's every Monday evening. I believe that's still 7 Eastern, correct, Steve?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Also on the panel today is none other than CEO and founder of 21 Studios and the 21 Convention, Anthony Dream Johnson. His websites are 21studios.com and the21convention.org. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, which is the Redman Group, as well as his channel, the 21 Studios, for his exclusive content, videos, and, of course, to sign up for 21 University. Also on the panel is Hunter Drew of thefamilyalpha.com. Thank goodness he regrew his beard. We did not recognize who he was for, I don't know, maybe a few hours. Just off the subject here before I get here to Bruno. How long did it take for your beard to stop growing after you went completely clean shaven? What, like 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was already back.
Yeah, okay. That's what I figured. You've got those hyper follicles, like you've got like a 2 o'clock shadow instead of a 5 o'clock shadow.
It is pretty amazing how fast I grew back, Hunter.
It's unbelievable. It really is.
It's the beard balm I'm using, man. Jeff Putnam all the way.
Good stuff. I like the plug. Next up, of course, is George the Sultan Bruno. We call him the Sultan of Silver, the most distinguished male in the 21 convention community. You guys can check out his podcast. I think, George, you do random podcasts. I don't think you have a specific day and time, but George makes a lot of appearances. He's also the official host of the 21 convention. He conducts all of the interviews and does a fantastic job with that. I, of course, am Donovan Sharp. You guys can check me out at donovansharp.com and at patreon.com/Donovan Sharp. I'm on the air on Tuesdays only. I'm going to be ramping that up here after I make the move and build the new studios right here on YouTube. How we doing, everybody?
Doing well.
Doing well, man.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Well, we are 2 weeks now removed from the 21 convention. We didn't have a show last week because everyone was still traveling. So today is going to be sort of a recap of the 21 convention, how it was different from conventions in the past. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about the upcoming 22 convention, when and where, what the plans are, et cetera, et cetera. So Anthony, you're the head of the snake, man. How did this particular 21 convention come off? And again, there were concerns because of everything that had happened with the attendance and the mudslinging back and forth. How did that affect this particular 21 convention, if at all?
Yeah, it was amazing, man. I mean, this event obviously was at the tail end of a lot of conflict we've seen this year, as well as at the tail end of 2 events that we had earlier this year. And it's been a long time since we had multiple events. Like in 2016, we had 2. We had the young men's event, the under 21, and the main event. But those are both in Florida, and it wasn't a massive deal. This year, we did 3 events, from Patriarch in Orlando, the brand new event for fathers. And then, of course, we did another European event, which we have not done in a long time, 7 years. And then on top of that, we had this final event of the year with, major speaker additions like Stefan Molyneux, still kind of fresh to the crew, Elliot Hulse, and then all kinds of stuff. And it was awesome, man. We had a really good turnout. It was not the biggest ever, but it was second, so pretty close. And it was just fucking amazing. And I was particularly proud of how smooth it went. This was definitely the most complex, advanced event we've ever run. Poland and Patriarch are both really close, but Patriarch, for example, was a day shorter, which makes it a little bit easier. And Poland only had 2 workshops at a time, whereas this had 3 to 4 at a time. In addition to constant speeches, dinners, parties, after events, we had a documentary crew out from the Netherlands. We had a reporter come out from the New York Times. I mean, it was the moving parts. We had we hired like a sheriff's deputy to cover the event, licensed armed security. Like this was above and beyond the most complex event we've ever run in total factors combined, like attendance, speakers, various workshops and logistics. And it ran really smooth. And that was not easy. I had to put my nose to the grindstone with our team and do that. And we did it. And that means the speakers too. George Bruno and his brother fucking killed the 21.
Yes, they did.
The fantastic duo, the tag team. It's like the Double Dragon or something going on. So it was a ton of fun. And I've actually been this is something I've been talking to one of our speakers about, Rich Grennan, a psychology guy that spoke in Poland. But I feel really good after this event and not as exhausted as I usually am, which is kind of surprising. I mean, it was physically exhausting. Like everybody's fucking. You go to the sink for
Sure.
3, 4, 5 days, and you're like, fuck. But you sleep for a couple days, and usually you get, you feel better. But for me though, it's kind of most events are like just mentally and emotionally exhausting. I'm very introverted, and for whatever reason, I didn't feel like that after this event. I slept it off, and I've been just feeling fucking awesome ever since. And we're cranking out content now. The 21 Report started publishing. Today or tomorrow at the latest, we're about to publish over 1,200, over 1,000 photos from the event to Facebook. And that's only, I mean, that's after deleting or not using like 29 to 30,000 photos that we just don't even use. So it's a massive amount of content we filmed at this special event we just had, the final of the decade. It's been a massive year. The amount of content right now we have built up to publish for free, well, first on 21 University, and then after that on YouTube and stuff, is just tremendous. It's easily, we filmed more content this year than any year in the history of the 21 convention. And as far as I know, in the history of the manosphere, in terms of conferences, speeches, podcasts, interviews like this, George Bruno alone knocked out about 60 21 Report episodes.
Woo! Like, wow. Holy shit, man.
Yeah. So just from a production content standpoint and helping men and reaching men and impact, it's massive. And the speakers now too, all of you guys, especially George Bruno with his 21 Report, and then Molyneux and Elliot Hulse, all the speakers are now pitching in to co-publish their content. Donovan, I hope we can do that with your channel too, with your speeches and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your 2018 is about ready, by the way. You and
Campbell. Good.
Yeah,
Very good.
It's just been super exciting, man. There's so much going on, and it's so positive. And I'm sure that sounds funny to people who watch me on Twitter, but it's been a fucking awesome year, all of you guys.
Good. Let's go to George Bruno next, because I'm getting some feedback from somebody, because I can hear myself. I don't know if it's me or
I don't know what the fuck's going on with that.
Yeah, it's like I can hear myself. Wow, that's loud. All right.
Let me go in the private chat.
Wait a minute. All right.
I wonder who
All right. Well, that sounds a little bit better. George, you are, along with Anthony, you're on the front lines. You're the guy that gets to talk to. You're the guy that gets to talk to everybody there. You're the guy that gets to interview everybody there. What are your thoughts on some of the new guys, the Pat Stedmans, the Stefan Molyneux? How did they, and Elliot Hulse he's still a newcomer. He's done this now, I think 3 or 4 times. What are your thoughts on how those guys added to the convention in terms of what they brought in terms of notoriety and content?
What I like about this new crop of new guys is it's not like we have a briefing meeting before the event and tell the men what to do, what to say, how to outline things, how to act on stage. I'm pretty sure Anthony says, we want you to speak. If you have a PowerPoint presentation, go for it. Anthony has given all the newbies freedom to do what they want. And everyone has used that freedom profoundly, which adds, there's nobody wants to sit in a big room listening to 8 men drone on 1 hour after another all day long. So everybody kind of breaks it up with their own style. And one of the things that I have found consistent amongst all the newbies is they are amazed at the freedom that they're given to speak what they want, to do it how they want, whatever the methodology. And with that freedom just comes a great presentation. And they are themselves. They don't have to, like I said, it's not like we're putting our heads together before the event and everybody on the same page. We're on the same page as far as our values are concerned. But as far as methodology and style, they are blown away that they can kind of do what they want. And you know what? It's a risk on Anthony's part. I know that, because you never know, you never know what's going to happen on stage after you introduce somebody.
Oh, Jesus, yes.
Yeah, and I think everyone handled that responsibility well. I believe because of that, we are trusted more. Nobody just flies in, speaks, and then flies out. And I think that lends to more community at the conventions, people hanging out, having coffee, having drinks after, having cigars and pipes and going out together. And I believe that's one of the unique things about the 21 convention is I love watching the reactions of the speakers, because I get most of the guys just minutes after they come off stage.
Oh yeah.
And everybody is really impressed. I guess the term, I started seeing this in 2018 when people would say it's a well-oiled machine.
Yep.
And they can't, like this weekend right now, I'm at a men's conference. I mean, I had a week to recover from 21, and now I'm up in the Poconos. It's 12 degrees out here.
Yeah, it looks like you're about to. It looks like you're out wrestling bears in a suit. I didn't know what was happening out there. You got the beard, you got the woods.
I'm out in the middle of the woods here at a retreat center, and it's their first conference, and it's going well. But you can tell it's a first conference.
Sure.
And so coming from 21. Which is, Anthony, how many events have you put on so far?
18.
Yeah,
19.
Going from a conference that's done it nearly 24 times and really perfected it. I mean, think about it. 21 really, Anthony's got the game down, and I know it didn't happen overnight. And I'm at a first-time conference right now, speaking over this weekend and doing interviews similar to 21. And they have a long way to go.
To put it nicely.
And firsts of everything are always trial and error. But I'll tell you what, man, 21 is solid as a rock, man. It's I can't recommend it enough to men. As a matter of fact, I was telling the men here this weekend. This is a group that would be. I tweeted this morning. I'm tweeting my ass off today. I said it's a group that's not unsimilar to Fraternity of Excellence. So I look at this as a satellite group here. I mean, I'm sitting here with about 40 men, and all I see is candidates for the Patriarch Convention. And I'm thinking these guys. And then one of the speakers has another organization that's different from this one, called It's Good to Be a Man, and he's got a ton of followers, and I'm thinking, all right, there's another king and his kingdom that will be welcome to speak, and I'm just enjoying it's almost like Al Capone. It reminds me of Al Capone. Wow. Bringing all the mob families together to agree on something, and that's what Anthony's done. He's brought kings together in their kingdoms. We're not fighting each other. No. One is not saying I'm better than you. And I'm the past year, I'm just so sick and tired of the better than attitude. And you know what? We're in this together, and I am loving it, absolutely loving it. And this last Orlando 21 convention, I thought the speakers were incredible. People took risks. We had controversial figures, and the thought of a controversial figure is actually worse than the controversial figure. Right. People thought, "Oh my God, Stefan's going to be political or this and that." Oh my gosh, he was wonderful.
Great. His speech was awesome, dude. Yeah.
People thought Stedman, what's going to happen with Pat? He was fantastic. So I think there's a lot of catastrophizing going on in the manosphere. And what I like is how when we put aside the catastrophizing, the name calling, the kings come together and
Good stuff, man. Well said, George. And speaking of which, talking about men in terms of their caliber of the Fraternity of Excellence, Hunter Drew, you were also there for the 21 convention. He, of course, was the very first keynote speaker of the inaugural 21 convention, Patriarchs Edition. Hunter, what were your thoughts on this year's 21 convention? And just to sort of piggyback off of what George was talking about, what are your thoughts on the controversial figures? Did it go as planned? Did you not have expectations?
You know how I go into these. It's just whatever. I never have this whole it's doom and gloom. I'm like, Anthony, fuck it. Like, we're going to go down. We're going to get the men together. We're going to have a good time. And regardless of how you feel about a certain individual, that's the whole reason they're there. We're not trying to make these cookie cut conventions. We're trying to push. We're trying to go into different regions, get different perspectives, get to see some different viewpoints on things. So when you're like, oh, why'd you bring him in? That's exactly why I brought him in. He's looking at things differently. And that's what we're trying to solve here, is to get the ultimate view to help men. And that's the whole focus of this. So when everybody's, shit's flying back and forth. I'm like, what's the mission? Focus on that. You know, we belong focused on our mission, which is helping men. And the future truly is men coming together in the real world and doing things. And that's what 21Con does. And in between, it's dropping all these drip feed, like, hey, here's some content. You know, for those who couldn't make it, here's, you know, this speech on that. And that changes lives too. And then those men get to meet each other. And that's what this whole thing is about. Yes. So I couldn't give a shit less about anybody's, you know, what they're like. Cool. If you're an asshole, you're not going to come back. But we don't know that until we get you out there. So I want to keep seeing. I was wrong about Pat Stedman. I have smashed that guy. We've had so many back and forths, and I was wrong. And I told him that, you know, face to face, because you get sucked into the, oh, you're the dating coach, you're a life coach. Who do you think you are? I'm like, yeah, fuck this guy. And then I meet him like, wow, you're a great fucking dude who's helping a lot of people. You know, there's nothing true as to what's being said about this man. So I felt horrible. And we cleaned the slate there. But I would never have had that opportunity had Anthony not had the balls to say, hey, I'm.
What the fuck is going on in the background?
I don't know. Sounds like somebody's about to get into a fight.
Looks like Hunter froze up too.
Yeah, looks like Hunter froze up. All right, well, let's go to Steve the Dean Williams. Steve, this was your third event. Actually, no, this was your third event.
Yeah.
You did no, it was your second event. You did 21 Convention Patriarchs Edition, which was unbelievably awesome. And then of course you did this 21 Convention. Now, what to you were the main differences between the 21 Convention and the 21 Convention Patriarch that we did back in May?
He did Poland too, Donovan.
Oh, you did? So this is your third event? Yeah. Wow. Steve is really racking up the So what are your thoughts, man?
Well, the only differences I see is that it just gets better and better. You know, sometimes when you think that you hit the ceiling on certain things, it always just goes up a level. I mean, George is George, but I mean, he is just. It's just, I mean, we can just start with George first. Well, let's back up. Let's start with Anthony first and how he sets everything up and makes you feel like you're welcome. You know, you feel like you're family. You know, he welcomes you with open arms and everything like that. And like the guys are saying, you know, he allows you to say what you want to say on your platform, you know, and he trusts that you'll get the message out and things like that. From him doing the workshops to the dinners to the meet and greets, I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but from beginning to end, it is ridiculously just top notch. And then you go roll into George, who's laid back in the cut, chilling in his little section, welcomes you in. He just sits there, makes you feel at home. He's like, you know, George doesn't tell you what like he wants you to say. George, like, okay, what we talking about? And the thing that's so great about George is he can roll off of anybody talking about anything, which is that awesome in its own and as well. And I want to also say about Hunter. One thing a lot of people didn't know was Hunter, his son was playing baseball. You know, it was an important game for Hunter. I think he was in the wedding first, but you know, he saw how important it was. He came down. I think he cut the wedding short, came down, and as a great father, monitoring his son's game the whole time, but putting in, you know, making a decision between watching his son pitch. I think he pitched a perfect game to the 7th inning, or I think
another one. Jesus Christ!
I think that was it.
This kid hasn't given up a hit in like 18 months.
Yeah, but I'm just saying things like that should show people the love that these guys have for these men that want to give them hope and knowledge. And it's just that, like I say, and like one more thing, bringing kings together. I've always said, I believe we are our own communities, but when we come together, we're all at the table giving information, learning information, and like George said, nobody's better than anybody else. We just respect everybody and move on. So it's just, I just can't. It just seems like does it get better than this? That's the next question you always have. It's like it's just shocking how great it is, man.
Yeah, one thing I can certainly attest to is the smoothness of the event. Everything is always organized. No one is ever confused in terms of where they have to be, what they have to do. And, you know, the interesting thing is I never found myself wondering, okay, what are we doing next? I could literally just kind of put myself on autopilot and enjoy okay, so I was one of the speakers. I hosted a Red Man Group Live, and I had a workshop. But at no point did I ever feel rushed or, oh my God, what am I going to do? The organization affords me to be able to enjoy the convention just like everyone else, because not only am I a speaker, I'm also an attendee. I mean, I watched a bunch of speeches, talked to a lot of guys, attended a couple of workshops. And for me, it was great fun. And I think the organizational level, I think the professionalism, like George said, it runs like a well-oiled machine. And because it runs so well, it allows the speakers to actually be attendees. And I think that's probably one of the most important elements of the convention, is that we all get to see each other. We all get to meet each other. I mean, yeah, I'm a speaker, but I'm a fanboy too. It's great to see George in person, even though we live, 20 minutes away from each other. But it's very, very good to sort of rub elbows with the guys. Met Stefan Molyneux in person for the first time, which was pretty cool. Got to see Hunter, sat next to him during, I think, I don't know, I'm probably getting them mixed up. They all run together at some point. But the Red Man, or the Red Man group, definitely for me was certainly the crown jewel. And then of course, the heroes dinner and everything in between. So it was great fun. It was a great time. And I'm definitely looking forward to doing it again. Anthony, let's talk a little bit about what we have planned for 2020. And we talked about this a little bit on the Red Man group. Say again?
Before we get into that, how's my audio, by the way? Any better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better. If you can turn yourself up a little bit. Yeah.
How's
yeah,
that?
you sound. Yeah. You're crystal clear.
Okay,
Can everybody else hear him?
Finally, yeah, I've had a new mic set up. I'm trying to play with and learn.
Oh yeah, dude, new microphones are a 4-letter word, man.
You think I'd have this figured out too, given the complexity of the events, but the house setup is always like, fuck, what do I do?
Right.
I don't have a team doing it. But I wanted to comment on something that George brought up, and I think Steve too, and even Hunter, and that's the freedom that I give the speakers at the event. And you notice that both in the interviews, the podcasts, the speeches. It's rare I ask you guys, and extremely rare I dictate anything. Like off limits. Like I don't like, a long time ago we had a speaker talk about basically promote feminism, and I'm like, that's off limits. You can't do that. But outside of that, like it's really rare I give you guys any kind of requests or demands like that. It's got to be really off the charts like that. And I do that on purpose. And I bring this up because, George and these guys are hitting on it. But also we had a blogger come out and review the event and experience it, Legends of Men. And he gave a pretty positive review, but one thing he was critical of is he didn't feel there was like a cohesive theme to the speakers. And I disagree strongly. And I think the theme that he overlooked is the freedom that the speakers have. And I'm basically tapping into you guys and the freedom you have intellectually to speak and use your fucking brain and open your mouth to build that theme. And so to me, the theme of the event that the men are experiencing that's super positive and powerful, it's implicit in what you guys are doing just by bringing your A game on your own. Donovan Sharp bringing the fucking sharp reality. Steve the Dean bringing the man mindset. George Bruno bringing the George Bruno experience. And Hunter Drew doing his thing. Every speaker is doing their own thing to the max, and that's what I want to leverage every time at the events on a very individual level for each of you. In addition to seeing you guys kind of compete with each other, kind of horse around and boost each other up that way. And I think that's why you guys give at the events the best speeches of your lives. I've seen this said repeatedly about the speakers that they'll speak at other events sometimes or do their own content, but very often some of the best content they'll ever make in their life is at the 21 convention. And I think it's because of the freedom you guys have, the professionalism and the production quality, and then the interaction you guys have at the event that's like very positive and competitive and masculine. So I really love seeing that. And to me, that is the base theme of the convention, is that freedom, is that open debate, as long as it's fundamentally pro-man and pro-masculine.
Yes.
So
absolutely. It's
not just like some random TED talk, obviously. Like it's
Jesus.
There's some boundaries, but they're pretty fundamental, pretty basic. Like feminism's gay, communism's gay. Other than that, men are awesome. But yeah, then you mentioned the feature and stuff, 2020, yeah? Oh, anyway, yeah. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, so you mentioned 2020 events and what's going on. We have 4 events technically planned. I call it 3.5, but really it's like 4. So the first one that's coming up soonest is going to be a combination weekend, 2 separate events, same weekend, same hotel, same venue. And that's going to be the 22 convention to make women great again for the first time in history. And then on top of that, we're going to be running the 2nd annual Patriarch edition, Fatherhood edition of the 21 convention, starring this time keynote speaker Tanner Guzzi. And
oh, wow, that'll be cool.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I guess Hunter will be vice president or vice patriarch of that event. And I'm really excited for that. Hunter killed it last year as the first time like that. And we'll have a lot of huge speakers at that event too. And so these events, obviously it's a Patriarch edition again. The only major difference from last year is it's going to be a 4-day convention, the Patriarch, like the full 21 experience instead of 3. But on top of that, the women's convention will be running concurrently the same weekend. It'll be shorter, it'll be 3 days. So Patriarch will kick off on Thursday, April 30th, and then the women's convention will kick off on May 1st, the day after. And both will run to May 3rd. And they're going to be the same weekend, same hotel, same venue, different conference rooms. And it's going to be fucking awesome. Different ticketing too. So if you're a woman, you cannot attend the Patriarch. If you're a man, you cannot attend the women's convention. But the speakers are going to be cross-compatible too. Most of the Patriarch speakers you're going to see are going to also speak at the 22 convention for women. And I'm super excited for that. It's never been done in history that I know of where men have got together and provided content and education and this kind of impact for women like this. And we're billing it, as the mansplaining event of the century. As of right now, there are no women speakers at it, and there's no intent to invite any. It's going to be all men speaking to women, which to me is symbolic of what's missing in Western culture right now in America. And Stefan Molyneux actually hit this without talking with me at all. He nailed this in his speech, and I think his speech was titled like what women need to hear from men, essentially, or something like that. And it was savage as fuck. It was hysterical. It was fucking super funny. We're gonna put it out pretty soon, and it was really good. I mean, he was an impressive speaker. I think everyone I talked to said something along those lines, and I agree. But that's kind of the basis of this event is like, what are women missing today in America and in the West? And one of those things is a positive masculine message and presence in their life, because feminism has drowned it out to the max. Like Elliot Hulse was talking about in his interview with George on the report we published it yesterday, that the West is lacking father energy. And I've never heard it put that way, but he hit the nail on the head, that it's been killed off and siphoned off for decades. And you feel that now. Women are out of control. Thought culture, hookup culture, sugar dating, all this bullshit. Endless amounts of feminism and feminist insanity that is ruining families and children and lives, and in men too. So I think the 22 convention, Make Women Great Again, is going to be the first time there's a major pushback to this in recent history. And I'm excited to do it. I think we have the perfect lineup of speakers to do that. AJ Cortez will be the keynote of the 22 convention for women.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I had, he's an amazing speaker with great content, but on top of that, so he's a competitor just by that. But on top of that, I mean, he's fucking super Chad Jesus. So I thought it'd be really perfect to put a ballerina, or not a ballerina, but a ballet dancer at as the title keynote speaker of that event.
West Coast Fabio.
All the content, they called him Walmart Fabio on his Twitter thread when it went viral.
Target Fabio, we'll give him Target.
Yeah,
because he's fancy like that.
There you go.
We're gonna film all that content too, though, like 21 convention, and eventually it'll be published for free on the web. And I'm hoping that content goes viral and triggers a shit out of feminists, and then educates millions of women in a very positive way that they're not getting right now, that they're desperate for, and they need it. And I think we see that whenever I mention the 22 convention and I talk to women about it through DM, I've gotten a lot of messages about it. Women are very excited for it. They have nothing like that.
All right.
Oh yeah, dude. Since day one when we announced it, women have been super into it, trying to buy tickets. And recently I've been talking about it a little bit, and women are hitting me up about it, and they're excited. And I think women throughout the West, every time a woman sees this, whether it's some girl on the internet or some girl I'm fucking, I mean, their heads explode. They're absolutely, like, their eyes go wide and they're fascinated. Like, what is this? Make Women Great Again. And they see a whole conference being built for this, and they're just like, what the fuck? So I really think it's needed in the West, and we are in a prime position to do that like never before. Women need to be told, women are not leaders. They need to be led.
That's right.
And they are not going to lead themselves out of feminism. They've demonstrated that for 100 years now, especially the past 30 to 40. And they need men to help them do that. And I'll be called probably Captain Save-A-Ho or Admiral Save-A-Ho or some shit, but whatever. Like I love
General Save-A-Ho to you.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see women do well in America and in the West, and they're not right now. And they've been doing worse every year and every decade that goes by. And that has to change. And I think men are the ones who are going to do that. Men and fathers and the speakers like we have. And
I think one of the gross, and I would say they're probably disingenuous misconceptions about the manosphere is that men like us hate women. And nothing could be further from the truth, because if we really did hate women, we wouldn't talk about women. the reason why men in this country are fed up, the reason why men in this country are doing things like going MGTOW and swearing off women, it's not because they hate women. It's because they want good, meaningful relationships with women. Unfortunately, there are very few women in this part of the world who are capable of having good, solid relationships of consequence with persons of the opposite sex. If we didn't give a damn about women, we would just talk about, fucking hoes and this and that and the third, and we wouldn't really worry about it. But I think when women are happy, when women are truly happy, when women are in good relationships, everybody wins. I think what a lot of people fail to realize is that feminism has destroyed both women and men. The fact that women are no longer viable for families, much less relationships, and now it's escalated to the point where it's not even worth having sex with them anymore. But when women are in the state that they're in, everybody loses, man. Yeah. And a lot of guys like, oh, women aren't this, and oh, they're going to be the cat lady and this and that and the other, which is absolutely true. But guys lose out too, because guys are also buying into feminism. Women don't want feminine men, no matter what they say, no matter what our movies and television and social media says. Women don't want men to follow women. Women want a man to follow. They want to be on a program. Women are, and we can leave this to the creator, but women by their very nature are self-destructive. If left to their own devices, they destroy themselves and everyone around them. Anytime a woman is given any modicum of control over anything, they destroy it. The economy, children, television shows. It doesn't matter if they put their finger, if they are in charge of something, it is going to fail. Does this mean women are inferior to men? Probably. But that doesn't mean that we can't complement one another. Women need men. Men don't need women, but no matter how much we can sit here and say we don't need them, we certainly want them. And for any man to deny that you really do want a relationship of consequence with a woman who appears to be worth it is disingenuous. We all want relationships with women on different levels. And admitting that you want a relationship with a woman doesn't make you a cuck. It makes you a man. By the same token, I think this 22 convention is great for women. We're going to teach women, dude, you don't have to be strong. You don't have like there are different kinds of strength. There's a difference between male strength and female strength, but admitting that you want a man doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you trash. It makes you a woman. And I think what we're going to do at the 22 convention is going to give women permission to be women. But that starts with guys like us giving ourselves permission to be men, because we can't give women permission to be women unless we give ourselves permission to be men. And that's where the 21 convention starts. George, I'd like to get your thoughts on the 22 convention, because you were accompanied by a very attractive young woman who and every time you looked at her, her eyes were always trading on you. She is the embodiment of, or you rather, are the embodiment of the way a relationship should be. So what do you hope? What do you see the 22 convention doing for women? How do you think it's going to be received?
I'm getting a lot of my female followers kind of coming out of the woodwork right now. And some of the issues that the manosphere went through in the past year, when those things cleared up, it almost gave many of my secretive female followers a reason to come out of hiding. Right. That they weren't going to get beat up, that I wasn't going to publicly hammer them. They can, and there's still a few meatheads that will attack the ladies who make comments on my show and on my videos. But what I'm finding is a resounding amen from the women.
How about that? I had no idea, George. I mean, this is surprising because Anthony said the same thing.
Yeah, they're loving the content. I haven't changed my content at all. Good. But what's happening is that women have sensed a change in my spirit and in my attitude. And if we keep saying battle of the sexes, there's a war on men, I get that. I understand that. Then what happens is it makes my hands want to do this. I can't sustain this. I want to loosen up my hands.
Right.
I want to offer a hand of welcome to people, not this or this. And what's happened is women, I think, who are more sensitive, and believe me, I'm no expert on women, but I think many times women are more sensitive to the spirit of a man. I haven't changed. I'm still manly. I'm still masculine. I love women. But something has changed in the way that I'm communicating that. They have seen it, and they're now coming out and talking about it. And I believe they're perfect candidates for the 22 convention.
Excellent.
What I have found is that the more I'm not hiding my masculinity, I'm not hiding behind anything. I'm not hiding behind wisely crafted words. I'm a simple man. I'm finding just true of that by masculinity, but not macho. There's no one in the world that would ever say that I'm macho. But by amping up my masculinity, the women have come out of the woodwork, not only personally to me, as far as wanting to be involved with me, dating and so forth. And I love it because those kind of women enjoy a man who is a man in a world where there are teachers right now that say, don't do anything for women. Don't hold the door for women. Don't pour her extra glass of wine. Do not take her coat. In a world where literally a portion of the manosphere is teaching that, I'm coming out and saying, be a gentleman. Don't be a pussy. You don't have to be this subservient male chauvinist who is holding a door for a woman, hoping, for a transaction later on that evening. I will hold a door for any one of you guys on this broadcast. I will take your coat. I will pour your second glass of wine because that's what a gentleman does. A gentleman just doesn't cater to women. He accommodates everybody. And there's a part of the manosphere that just rejects that. And they're almost saying, amplify the inner asshole within you.
Yes.
And that is the fight that I've had in the past, let's say 7 to 9 months. Is I want you to kill your beta and kill your inner asshole, amplify your masculinity, be a man, not only to women, but to other men, and be an example. And guess what? It goes back to that thing that we all say all the time. Who does a woman want? She wants a man that other men respect and that other women want to be with. What a perfect picture of manhood.
Well said, George. Anthony, you had something on the superiority-inferiority thing.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I know you just heard, you had like a monologue just a few minutes ago on that. On the issue, or my position on the issue of women and men, inferior, superior, and all that stuff. I mean, obviously women want to be dominated and they seek superior men who are specifically superior to them in like numerous ways. On a whole, though, I think men and women are so fundamentally different. I don't even know, and this has been my thought for a while. I'm not even sure the question or the basis of like men and women, who's superior, inferior, and stuff. I'm not even sure if it's like a relevant question to ask, in my opinion.
It's almost like you're comparing apples and wrenches, right?
Yeah, something like that. And so it's funny to say it and fuck with people and go with stuff like that. But honestly, like we lost Bruno. Oh, well. We lose Donovan too. Jesus, the whole thing's we're picked off like flies, man. But yeah, anyway, the superiority and inferiority thing. I don't like to say that women are inferior to men and men are superior to women unless I'm just trolling. I honestly don't even think it's relevant. Like we're just so different. Men are definitively better at numerous things, and there's research on this you can look at, like thing after thing after thing, whether that's athletics or IQ and all this stuff. But women are better at some things too. Women, for example, are way better at socializing by default, and to put it lightly, manipulating men rather than the way around. Men have a difficult time navigating that kind of stuff, and the manosphere teaches men how to defend themselves from that and then navigate those minefields of the dating marketplace today. So I just thought I'd clear that up a little bit.
No, I'm glad you added that. One of the things that drives me insane is when when men get so stuck on focusing on what's the difference. It's like, just shut the fuck up for a second.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the gym. You didn't do any efforts on your part. You just want to focus on these theoretical discussions. I mean, it's cool to understand how gravity works, but I hold the pen, I drop the pen, it falls to the ground. That's all I need to know. Now I've got the laws of gravity and I can go forward. I'm not going to sit here and study the formulas as to how mass pulls things in and at what size it's going to pull things down harder. That doesn't matter. Gravity's gravity. Move on. Intersexual dynamics is intersexual dynamics. Now move on. Use it as a tool to make your life better. So that means, hitting the gym, dressing better. One of the things I think we do very well at 21Con is skip the fluff and go right to the man. Sitting down at the dinner instead of saying, oh, let's talk about, what's blue, what's red, what's purple, and how do you define, like, hey man, when's the last time you worked out?
Yeah.
Like there's no fluff because you're looking across, maybe they carry an extra weight, they're dressed slovenly. Hey man, did you realize that if you wore a V-neck shirt and you kind of tighten it up, those are the real conversations that people don't get to have anywhere else. But at 21, they get to ask, hey Tanner, what would work here? Tanner jumps on it.
I think
fatherhood
you're
comes
in. Hunter, I think you're hitting the nail on the fucking head, dude. And I think the difference is the format. Online, the manosphere, the digital manosphere, men tend to get stuck in their heads. It exacerbates that issue, right? It's a lot of theory. It's like 80% theory, 20% real talk. But in real life, it flips. And I think that's what you're hitting on. In real life, this theoretical talk is mostly out the window. And it's a lot of savage shit in your face. Hey, man, when's the last time you worked out? Like, what are you doing? Are you better now than you were 6 months ago or a year ago at the last event? And so, yeah, I've seen you do this with the guys. And I hear it's actually one of the best things about attending the convention from the attendees, especially with you and Tex. I was hearing this, that you guys are really interacting with engaging with the attendees. All the speakers do. They're really good about it. But yeah, you and Tex are definitely in these guys' faces and asking these kind of blunt questions that they're not going to get, the grass eating line stuff that Steve talks about, right? When they go back home. Their friends are weak, beta, blue pill, shit at best. And they don't get that kind of push. They don't get that kind of masculinity around them. Even in Orlando, I'm glad I have guys like Socrates around to push me and different friends I have, but it's rare, Most of culture today in the West is not like that. Masculinity is, has been diminished over and over and over again. I think
I agree.
Bruno, by the way, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he got attacked by a grizzly bear. He's probably
fucking
handling
bear.
Yeah,
And the badge don't give a fuck.
No, listen, no, they don't. They give zero fucks. Steve, what are your thoughts on the 22 convention? Because you're a married man. You've been married for over 20 years. You have a beautiful family. What do you think the 22 convention will do for women? How do you think it will help them?
Well, I always believe it takes a thief to catch a thief. And in order for them to find a real man, they need to hear from real men. And I think that's something that they are lacking. They're so busy listening to the, Steve Harveys or the people out there telling them that they're special and that they're good and you don't have to do anything and you're good enough and you don't have to do anything but just sit and look pretty and all this other stuff. And I just think that that's wrong. I mean, I'm a great man, but when I found a great woman that I deemed worthy, remember, the man chooses you being worthy. And I don't think a lot of women understand that. I'm never saying a woman doesn't have value or nor should they value themselves, but they always scratch their head wondering why doesn't he want to marry me? Why does he only want to sleep with me and not want to marry me? And the thing is that you don't understand men. You're so busy looking in the mirror trying to figure out you're not even trying to understand that men are simple. Men are simple, and the things that you have to do to get one is you've got to show him how worthy you are of his last name. And I think that's some of the things I'm be promoting. I don't think they understand the things that they have to do. It's like Lord of the Rings. I'm not calling them Smeagol, but they've got to get the ring. They've got to fight. They've got to slay the Minotaur. They've got to climb to the mountain because the man's already at the top of the mountain. So she needs to get up there with him, keyword him. And they just need to understand that. And in order to do that, they need to be around men like you guys. The only way, because you are honest, and that's something they're not getting. You guys are not trying to sleep with these women. You're trying to educate them. where most guys are using that platform to get sex from these women and not educate them. And I think that's what's going to be the difference maker in all of this, brother.
Good stuff. And I'll make one more comment because I've got to go here. I think one thing that women are grossly unaware of in terms of finding and locking down a man of value and having a relationship of consequence with him is that trust is not given. Trust is earned. Too many women believe that if a man is sleeping with her, then he must also trust her. Now, 9 times out of 10, better than 9 times out of 10, she's right, because better than 9 out of 10 men are not red pill aware. But whether you consume manosphere content or not, whether you consider yourself to be red pill aware or not, there are a lot of men out here who are red pill aware without knowing that they're red pill aware, right? Like they understand the subtle nuances. They understand what's really going on in the sexual marketplace. They just don't give it a name. I have conversations with George and Tony all the time. They tell me, listen, we were doing this stuff back when we were in our 20s and 30s before any manosphere or red pill game books or anything came out. That's just how it goes. But one thing, and this is what I'm going to talk about in my 22 convention speech, is that women need to proactively build a man's trust. You don't just go in and automatically get that trust. Well, your man should just trust you. No, your man shouldn't trust you unless you give him reason to trust you. And I think the state of today's women is grossly lacking that particular element. They just believe that a man should just trust them. And of course, most women take advantage of that assumed trust, and they go off and cheat and do all kinds of other things. So those are going to be the things that those are going to be among the things that I'm talking about in my 22 convention speech. But guys, I have to go. Dev and I are going to look at our new townhouse we're going to be moving into next week. Omar Tinoco says he'd like to see a live stream from a gym. I'm actually building a gym in my place. And no, I'm not talking about little Nautilus machines or Bowflexes. I'm talking a squat rack. I'm talking over 1,000 pounds worth of Olympic weights. I'm talking deadlifts. I'm talking, pulled. I mean, it's going to be, we're going all out. So big things coming up for TSR. Anthony, thanks for having me on, and I will see you guys on the flip side.
Later, man.
See you, Donovan.
All right, guys.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty well put, actually, with the trust and stuff. Yeah, you put that pretty well. Women today, they feel so entitled to in the West to everything, including trust. Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention too was with what he was talking about. Steve, we were in Poland a few months ago. We talked about them snow bunnies. The women in Poland, man, I believe throughout the Ukraine and the surrounding countries in Eastern Europe, they're so feminine and they're so positive, and you can feel that just walking around, just going to a coffee shop, a restaurant, or just walking down the street and shit. Or at the hotel where we had the convention, the Marriott. And that's lacking today. When I got back to America, I was immediately like culture shocked in my own fucking country at the immediate dissipation of that energy that you feel and you sense and you see it. And those women are basically a lot happier than women in America. And I think it's because there's probably a cyclical relationship, but they're more happy because they're more feminine, and they're more feminine because they're more happy, and they're submissive and responsive to men. They have expectations of men being men, and they have expectations of themselves and other women around them to act like women. And these things, these gender roles, even the most basic elements of it, have been eroded a lot in American life. And when I got back to America, my first stop was in Chicago at a layover. It was a shit show. Women are walking around wearing pajamas compared to Poland, where they're dressed to the nines. Just on a day-to-day basis, it smells like McDonald's grease everywhere. These women are 20 to 30 pounds heavier on average or something. Like, they're disheveled. And it was just, these are my fellow Americans, so it's just disheartening, kind of sucks. But it's also like, all right, at least we have an example of what they can do to get better, of where this can actually lead. And so I really love being in Poland this year and seeing that. And I think the 22 convention with the speakers like us and, the other guys from the convention can really put a dent in that universe. It's going to take time. I mean, feminism has wrecked women for fucking decades now. I think they've really destroyed a whole generation, the millennial woman. But I think a lot of this can be undone, and especially for younger women who are still like Gen Z, they can turn the ship around before they run into a couple icebergs, like most women now in their 20s. All the train wreck of bullshit they get into. Hunter, what are you excited about for Patriarch, the second one, other than Tanner being keynote? So you get to get the co. I guess you're like the co-keynote is what I keep thinking.
I get to the crown's on him. He's got to run with it. I get to sit back and chill on this one and watch him give the speeches and introduce. It's really cool, man. The first one, we beat that one to death with how killer it was, the action that took place after the fact. For this next one, I
We
look
got
forward.
Ryan Mitchell coming out. That's fucking dope.
That's awesome. Yeah, those are my people. You know, when we go out to 21 Con, there's like a lot of guys who are like, oh, what about dating? I'm like, I'm not the right one for that. I can tell you about relationships all day, but going out at bars right now, like that's not my wheelhouse. So they start, the family guys is kind of how it works. They'll gravitate because that's the message we have. At Patriarchs, it's fathers or men who want to become fathers, you know, and that's just killer because that's literal skin in the game. You know, that's literal. The next generation depends on what you do as a man. You know, a lot of guys, if you're alone in your apartment and it's just you and you're doing your thing, you control you, and that's all you're worried about. You're not worried about you're raising human beings. You know, and during my speech this year, I kind of flipped out in the crowd and I was like, what the fuck? We keep calling family men trad cons, but what's conservative about raising children in this day and age properly? You talk about being red pill aware. You know, there's nothing conservative about trying to lead a woman for life. There's nothing conservative about trying to raise children properly in this day and age. It's a fucking beast. So in Patriarchs, the two things I'm looking forward to most with that, the first is seeing the fathers from the previous one and hearing how they've improved, because a lot of those guys, several joined FOE like right after it, because that we've got a large family contingent in there. Nice. So I've seen these guys and be like, oh, I'm going to Patriarchs. So I'm going to see them, shake hands again, see what's new, how are the kids, you know, updates in their life. And the next one is seeing the new men that are coming in. A lot of guys that were at this last 21 Con and several that were single said, I'm going to Patriarchs because I want a family someday and I want to do it right from the beginning. So I want to go to a convention that's specifically focused to that. And it's really cool that it's going the 4 days because that's legit. Like this.
So no, Sabbath, totally. And when I start a new convention like Patriarch last year or earlier this year, I keep thinking it's last year, but it's this year. I like making it a bit shorter, 3 days. The same way with the 22 convention for women. The reason I do that is it makes the event a little bit easier to run. And honestly, when an event's new, whether it's Patriarch or 22 Con for women or whatever we're doing, I want to make sure that it's as perfect as possible. And so it's a little bit, I cut it short, you know, down to 3 days, but in doing so, it's fucking awesome. It makes it better. And then in the future, like now for next year, I'll make it 4 days. 22 Con will probably follow a similar format. It's gonna be 3 days off the bat, and then 4 days like the following years and stuff like that.
I think the most satisfying thing from everything that we do here is if what we do doesn't lead to men taking different actions, like that's when I tap. Like that, I'm out. Like we're obviously not doing our job. But these guys, specifically your cameraman, really stood out to me from the last one. You know, losing weight, getting stronger. You know, you see these guys come back year after year, dressing better. You know, the accountability is I'm going to be seeing you next year. I can't be fatter. I can't, you know, be less confident. Like I've got to raise my game. And every time you see them, they're happier. Pounds. Yeah, man. Yeah, like he killed it, and he grew the beard. Like I was so pumped for him. Yep. And one of the things he said is I had given him a challenge coin from the Fraternity of Excellence, and on it says mind, body, spirit. And he said he kept it on him, and he knew to keep himself strong, you know, in his mind, his body, his spirit. He's like, that kept him going forward. I was like, dude, fuck yeah. That's what this is all about. And that's actually I didn't know what I was going to do for 22 Con. I'm like, what the fuck? That's going to be my angle. The actions women can take and how they need to stop saying, oh, I want to be a good woman. No, go be a good woman. Don't tell me you want to.
Yeah, dude, I'm pumped, dude. Are you bringing the wife to 22 Con?
Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
We're gonna make it a family vacation. I might even have the kids.
yeah. Do it. That's savage, man. So, Steve, I'm gonna throw this to both of you, but Steve first. Steve, what are your thoughts on, if any, on combining the Patriarch Edition, a 21 convention event, with the 22 convention same weekend? This is a controversial move I've never done before.
No, I think it's a great idea because you do one thing, you knock two birds out with one stone. And by doing that, that separates you, what you're doing from basically what everybody else is trying to do. But what I like about the fact that, and I'm sure that are there going to be workshops as well for the women? Have you gone that far to figure that?
Maybe. I've been thinking about it. I might simplify it to old school 21 style, just speeches, but I might also do workshops for them. We'll see.
Okay, yeah, because no doubt. But you know, and Hunter was saying that, you know, you tapping out whenever, you know, we feel that we can't do it, but you know, we're like the Justice League going against the Legion of Dooms out there, where there are people out there still telling these young men that women are scum and you know, don't get married, and you know, it's like they're trying to do everything they can to take a person's name and make it nothing.
Or they just get blue pill bullshit and women are angels or snowflakes that never do anything wrong.
Right.
It's like,
right. So it's coming from both. Right.
Yeah. Two ends are retarded.
Yeah. So it's coming from both sides. That's why that's why things like this is going to be good. It's being able to educate the men who want to be fathers. And the thing is, a lot of these guys don't even realize they want to be fathers, or they don't understand their last name or their legacy. And that's what's good about that for the on the side of the street for the guys. But like I said, on the other side of the street for the women, they finally get to see real men talking to them, not degrading them and not bringing them down, but being honest with them enough to say, listen, this is what you need to do. This is not what they need to do. These are the things you need to do. And I think combining those things is knocking two birds out with one stone, man.
Fuck yeah. Hunter?
When you look at the ways that men are being hit with this message, it's always with this angle of, oh, women are involved, therefore you are weak. Man, I'm looking at, what if couples attend this? What if a husband and wife are like, look, we need to restart something. Let's go. We'll invest in ourselves. We'll have a little vacation, mini getaway, and let's just go to do this thing. We've got 21 Con. You're a dad. I'm husband, wife. We'll go together. We'll come out better parents, better lovers, better relationships. Sometimes people just need that kickstart. And nobody's offering that to women. And we say we want women to be better. And everybody in the world was like, oh, make women better. And you're like, I'm going to do it. They're like, oh, that's what the fuck you doing? Look,
you're hitting the fucking nail on the head, Air Hunter. Yeah, because it is the manospheres and bitching for fucking who knows how many decades that they want women to be better, and women are.
So here the fuck we go.
Yeah, exactly.
This is an attempt at that.
Yeah, and the people are mocking us, making fun of us. It's a misguided, convention. Fuck them, dude. Losers. Mm-hmm. They just want to bitch, and get nothing done. No action. It's all talk, no walk. Losers. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's exactly it. When I see these two happening together, that was my assumption of your reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
Like, look, it can happen at the same time. If we're talking about families, patriarchs, and we're talking about helping women, bam. Now some women will go, just like some single guys go to patriarchs. It makes sense. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to coming off there and this husband and wife. And you've had a few attendees. Their wives don't attend the convention, but their wives are there in the hotel. And so I'll sit down. I remember one last year, and he's like, "Oh, this is my wife, blah blah." And they were talking like how happy they are when they go through this, and how the first one he attended, he came back and like everything was better since then.
Yep.
And it's just that little spark. And here you are offering it to women. And I don't see a negative to this at all. It's an option. Yeah. We're trying something. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe we try something else later. Sure. But how the fuck do you know until you put it into motion? And that's what you're doing. And very few have the balls to say they're going to take it on.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping some married couples will come out. They get one goes to 22, obviously one goes to 21. I'm hoping they patriarch it up and walk out pregnant, So we'll see. Make babies and cookies, man. I keep saying it.
There's gonna be a magazine. The name Dream really increased with babies named.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm excited, man. Yeah, workshops for them, like Steve asked, maybe. In the future, definitely. But off the bat, we'll see. I don't want to we're gonna do workshops at Patriarch, obviously, with a 4-day convention on top of speeches and podcasts. So it's just there's so much complexity. And even with the film directors and shit, we're trying to figure out now how to do this at the same time. It's a big deal. It's a big production. Each convention will have 3 cameras. Plus 2 photographers, audio techs. Like, it's gonna be fucking massive, and I'm excited, man. I think news is gonna go apeshit for this shit too. We'll keep them out like usual, but maybe we'll let one in or something like that at the end, so they don't fuck up the event. But yeah, I'm stoked, man. I'm pumped. Women for a long. I've had the 22 convention domain since like 2015, so I've been thinking about this for a long time. But it wasn't until I saw Make Women Great Again and the Red Pill Manosphere kind of influenced me that I could really put this together. I was like, yeah, this needs to happen. And it's time. Women have been declining, I think, in their femininity for decades in America, and it sucks. It sucks for men, and it sucks for women, and it sucks for everybody. I was talking to Ken Curry, one of the speakers of the day, and something bad had happened. I don't want to get into it right now, but with one of the attendees. But he's talking about how our work, all of us as individual speakers and together, it literally changes and saves lives in some cases. It's that on like life or death stuff. And I say on top of that, I told him immediately, I was like, I agree. And not only on top of that, but, America does not have a future with unfeminine women and unmasculine men. That's the death of families. It's the death of femininity. It's the death of masculinity. The nation doesn't have a future. I mean, you're talking like in a long enough time span, you're just going to see economic collapse and a real collapse of America. This will kill it. Fuck politics. Fuck all this other bullshit going on. If we don't have families and masculine men and feminine women, we don't have a future, period. That's like Roman, style collapse is what that is, I think. over the coming decades. And it's getting weird, man. I mean, you're seeing, you know, marriage rates fall off, divorce rates rise, children are all fucked up, single motherhood. I mean, where does this go 40 years from now if we don't turn it around? Nowhere fucking positive, that's where. And I think that's what we're doing now. We're actually putting the nose to the grindstone and making this shit happen against any criticism and any odds. Fuck them.
Well, you know what? The criticism is a little bit of jealousy, but it's also a little bit of envy, because a lot of people are not doing what you're doing. A lot of people don't know how to do what you're doing. So, you know, misery loves company, and unfortunately for a lot of people, they're not looking at the big picture. Instead of patting you on your back, they don't have to like you, but at least respect what you're doing, because not a lot of people are not doing that. They're just getting on their soapboxes, spitting out a bunch of quote unquote theory. That's all, what they feel and what they think. And because some woman somewhere somehow did something to them because they wasn't man enough to check her, they want to all of a sudden spew their cult-like mentality on a lot of impressionable young men who are open. You know, they you know, a lot of guys don't realize, yes, they maybe failed in relationships, but they don't realize that's okay. But they make it where these young guys say, well, leave the women alone altogether, man. These women are just awful, but they don't ever teach them about them. And I think what you're doing sets everything aside, Anthony. And I think it's sad. It's just really sad that people don't see you're trying to do good. You know, it's always that one person that's trying to do good in the world that gets smashed by everybody who doesn't give a hell about anything, man. So it's just
it's a price I'm willing to pay, man. I've been doing that, you know, for 13 years now with the convention, taking shit left and right from people, or not, and just throwing it, you know, picking the shit up and throwing it back in their face, or just crushing it into their face, whatever. It's part of the game. It's part of, you know, being an entrepreneur and being a public figure and public speaker. It's like you guys, everyone here gets flack. Whether it's on Twitter, in real life, your shows, YouTube, all over the place. Yeah, it's a good fight, man. It's one. I'm very combative with stuff, so it's actually a lot of fun for me, as you guys have probably figured out by now. But yeah. Well, guys, I know Hunter's got to get going in a minute. You got shit in real life going on, and we didn't intend this to be a long show today. I appreciate everybody hopping on the show, including earlier Donovan, of course, and George Bruno. Guys, any closing thoughts on 2020 coming up?
Not so much on the year closing. Well, I'll hit that later on. I do want to say this closing out the decade with this convention, the 18th one, you know, seeing the men moving forward, several from this last 21 con hopped into FOE. These men are still continuing it forward. You know, the changes, a few guys, you know, we swapped numbers, some exchange of information to keep each other accountable, and we're still messaging. So we're 2 weeks out from when we held it. And in these 2 weeks, these guys are already doing the work. And that's the whole point of the 21 convention. So the thing you've done is not just put on a show that provides videos. Lives are changing. Actions are being taken. Families are improving. Men are improving. The whole thing you've set out to do is working. I'm glad that I was able to be a part of it. And like I said, this is the 21 recap, so I'm focusing it there. The election, there's some crazy shit coming down the pipeline. We'll talk about that in future Redman groups.
Fuck that
but
shit.
we fucking did it. The thing we set out to do, we did. And we're closing 2020, or we're closing 2019 and heading into 2020, fucking fueled, ready to go. The anchors are cut. We're eyes forward. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, heading into 2020, guys, don't stop thinking about right now. Start thinking about tomorrow, because one day you're going to wake up, you're 18, you're going to blink, you're going to be 25, you'll blink again, you'll be 30, you'll blink, you'll be 50, and you'll never know what your life could have been with a little bit of direction to show you your value and your worth and what you can do as a man. And there's nothing like having a family. I'm telling you guys, it's one of the greatest feelings and accomplishments a man can have when he can look at what he has created in a wife and a family. So soak that up. And for the ladies out there that are also listening to this is your opportunity to be around real men who have the thing that you are seeking without trying to manipulate you or deceive you. So going forward in 2020, it's going to be, these guys need to draw a line in the sand and cross over.
Yeah. And I got to say too, guys, I can't thank you both enough individually, as well as with other speakers, but especially you two, and your contributions this year in leadership and speaking and helping out and supporting everything what we do, the videos, the events, but especially the events. I mean, Hunter, you were not at Poland. You had your own FOE thing going on. Fuck yeah. I know there's one coming up in Florida too, Pensacola. It's kind of cool.
Yes, sir. 3 months.
But, yeah, but man, you were the patriarch, the chief patriarch of our first ever patriarch event. I appreciate that immensely. That was a big deal. And I knew I was not able to lead that event because I'm not a father and I needed someone to step up. And you nailed it. Steve, you were at all 3 events this year. There's only a few speakers like that, like you, Socrates, AJ, and Lattimore. And I appreciate that immensely, man. It's a lot of work, a lot of flights, hotels, speaking, preparation, working with the guys, man, busting your ass for days at a time. People don't, they see you not on the Redman. They see you not in the Redman group right now. They see maybe some interviews and speeches and all that. We're putting yours out, ASAP. But they don't see the hard work that goes on for days at a time. I mean, you and Hunter both, man. Hunter's legendary for staying up till 6 in the morning with these guys. I know Steve's constantly talking to these guys too, man. You'll meet with 100 guys or whatever at the event, and you talk to these guys day and night. I don't make you do that shit. I don't even ask you to do that. You just do it. And that's the beautiful thing about it. I don't even have to ask or do anything like that. You guys just do it, and you bring your A game, you bring your all. And that's what men need. And they need that especially in real life, face to face. Whether it's FOE events or 21Con or anything else. With that said, gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up for today's show. Everyone else, catch us next week, 11 a.m. sharp. And you also see, we'll also check in on Monday nights for the Red Man Mindset. Friday nights, Donovan and Steve are back online doing the Red Line. Fuck yeah. They're the first one together last night in a while. And Thursday nights, Patriarch should be returning soon as well, 8 p.m. Eastern, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We got a lot of filmed events, film RMGs too, that'll be coming out. Savage ones from, the recent event, as well as Poland too. And we got one more from Patriarch to put out as well in religion.
Yes.
So, all right, guys. Peace out. Thanks for tuning in live. And talk to you next time.